The world of Steven Universe is big and beautiful, allowing for more stories to be told beyond Steven's perspective. And, as is the case with any franchise, the best way to do this would be with spin-offs. Now, about a month back, another creator in the cartoon community, The Alpha J Show, Hi Jay, released a video pitching 7 ideas on SpongeBob spin-offs. As Nickelodeon recently announced, they were actually developing SpongeBob spin-offs. You guys should really go check out that video after this one. I found it really captivating and I would love to see a lot of those ideas. That video got me thinking, what would a Steven Universe spin-off be like? So I myself crafted 7 spin-off ideas. Things I would like to see that takes place in the world of Steven Universe. Get completely immersed in the show's atmosphere and explore the potential of what lies beyond. Now let's establish some rules for these spin-offs. No characters will be written off of Steven Universe. Now let's assume the hiatuses for Steven Universe proper persist. Then we get anywhere between 5 to 10 episodes and we go on a hiatus for a few months. Ideally, a spin-off will release their episodes in that gap. So we get 5 or so episodes of Steven Universe, then while that's on hiatus, we get 5 or so episodes of this spin-off. So in a way, there would be a constant stream of Steven Universe media. There would always be something new coming out. And last but not least, unless specified, let's assume all these spin-offs take place in the post-Change Your Mind universe. With all that said, are you guys ready? Now what I've done here is created 3 spin-offs that could be serialized with an ongoing story, like Steven Universe itself, 3 spin-offs that would better work completely episodic, and 1 spin-off just for goofs. You guys will know which one that is. I also want to shout out my cat SU, Janky Bones, and Art with Coda for helping out with this video in a big way, with their concept art and thumbnails. Seriously, this video would not be possible without any of them. And hey, while we're also getting some artist love, I also want to give a shout out to Nikki, the imaginative artist, who helps us out with a ton of art on our channel, such as Tom's avatar and a plethora of designs on our Teespring, like Bat Courts or Rainbow Generations. Seriously, if you want to support her or any of the other artists, like Mike, who creates the art on our merch, go pick some up. And also go follow them on all their social medias, their Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to their YouTubes. I'll actually drop a link to all of those in the description. Alright, let's do this with number 1. Come on, you guys probably already figured out I would be giving Lars a show, so let's just get it out of the way. Lars of the Stars would be serialized, but loosely, as in there are story arcs, and the show as a whole tells an overarching story, but there are plenty of episodic episodes for any new viewers to jump into. So essentially, much like how Steven Universe is in its current form. The premise would be Lars and the Off-Colors accidentally receiving a distress call that sets off a chain reaction and results in them becoming intergalactic bounty hunters, fighting crime, bringing in criminals, and protecting the galaxy. The main story arc would likely be set up from episode 1. The story arc in question would focus on Lars and the Off-Colors searching for a coveted treasure of some sort that pissed them against many alien foes. The main antagonist himself would be a humanoid alien that's similar to Lars's bad habits in many ways, but amplified, impulsive, can be selfish, scared of being perceived as unmanly, yet still manages to be intimidating, resorting to just about any dirty tactic to get what they want. This antagonist would parallel how far Lars has come, yet would also bring out some of those bad habits within Lars. The series would play out and draw influence from a lot of the 90s space western anime trilogy, Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, and Trigun. Just a lot goofier, with that Steven Universe flair we're all familiar with. Frequently traveling to new planets and locations, lots of cyberpunk imagery, and much variety within its characters and designs. It'd definitely be a lot more action-oriented than Steven Universe, putting Lars's powers front and center. However, this wouldn't mean it'd be over-the-top violent. These characters we know and love wouldn't act out of character to beat the snot out of their enemies. Instead, it would be more of, how can we defeat these guys without doing too much harm? And Lars finding himself in the middle of crossfire, and a lot of humor coming from that alone. Recurring characters from Steven Universe would be Sadie, Ronaldo, and Emerald. Steven and other gems could pop up every now and then. Ronaldo in particular would be one of the more common recurring characters, as the series would help redeem Ronaldo a bit in the eyes of fans, making him more tolerable as he fulfills his dreams through assisting Lars in some adventures, and repair his complex friendship with Lars that was established in Horror Club. This should be the best bet. Cartoon Network, please just do it. But we know Cartoon Network. We know they really love comedies. So what if they gave us a comedic, unexpected spin-off? Starring, I don't know, Onion? That's right, number 2, Onion and Friends. And no, this is not the joke one just for fun. Onion and Friends would be a very much episodic show. I couldn't see this having any arcs or the likes beyond a 2-part episode or so. The premise? Onion and his friends from Onion Gang return as they embark on some pretty insane adventures. The Onion we get wouldn't be the kind of weird but harmless Onion we got in Onion Gang or Dugout, as I feel like a lot of people saw that Onion as kind of boring. The Onion we know wouldn't get abducted by aliens. We would get the insane, dangerous, risk-taker Onion we got in so many other episodes of the show. I imagine this show would be pretty easy to get into, and I find Onion and his friends essentially being mute or communicating through different nonsense languages would be unique. The inevitable slapstick of it all would serve as a throwback to shows like Tom and Jerry. Onion and the gang wouldn't just be restricted to Beach City, but the entire world is at their disposal, allowing us to explore locations we either never got to see or only got a glimpse of before, like Ocean Town and Empire City. Onion and his friends would also be exposed to gem tech and locations. Could you imagine what Onion could do if he did steal a spaceship or ended up in a place like the inverted pyramid from Serious Steven? Oh my god, I'm getting excited at the idea of the show just from thinking about it. Recurring characters from Steven Universe include Vidalia and Sour Cream, of course, as they are Onion's family, the Cool Kids. I'm assuming if Sour Cream is in it, we're going to inevitably see the Cool Kids, and of course, Suitcase Sam especially. Suitcase Sam has been featured in a lot of Onion episodes, and we don't know a lot about the guy, but I get the sense Onion really admires him. For some strange reason, this is Onion's role model, so I could see him playing a more active role in this show than when compared to Steven Universe. Let's also just throw in Petey for good measure. Really, any of the Tawnies would be good for the show, but let's keep it limited and make room for new characters. So that way we're not just watching Steven Universe without Steven. I actually think I would really enjoy the show. I think it would be hilarious. Pretty much things we saw in Onion Trade are Too Short to Ride, but cranked up to 100. But that also has me thinking, alright, there's a show based on Earth, but what would the exact opposite be? Something in space for sure. But instead of following Onion, I guess the opposite of a character like Onion would be pretty major characters like the Diamonds. Number 3. Diamond Days. Once again, this would be serialized but loosely. There could be story arcs and the show as a whole tells an overarching story, but your slew of episodic episodes for new viewers to jump into. The premise of Diamond Days is a glimpse at the day-to-day duties of the Diamonds now that they're trying to reform and change their ways, attempting to fix their image around the galaxy, somewhat slice of life, somewhat story focused. First off, a show all about the Diamonds? What? I think from what we know about the Diamonds and their personalities, a lot of the comedy would stem from their dynamics. For example, in Change Your Mind, when White commands Yellow and Blue to go to the rooms, to which Blue asks, which rooms exactly? And Yellow tells Blue to not make White any angrier. Whenever I watch that, there's a good chance I can laugh out loud, and it makes me want to see the Diamonds in a more casual setting. This show would definitely be for the dedicated Steven Universe fans, as even though it could be casual friendly, you really couldn't get the most out of it when compared to these other spin-offs unless you followed the show, as it's to directly develop the Diamonds and make the redemptions a bit more fleshed out, as opposed to the brief instances we get to see them in the proper series. The vibe of the show would be along the lines of Invader Zim or the Doofenshmirtz subplots in Phineas and Ferb and Mile Murphy's Law, but in a new context of bad guys trying to be good. But then again, that pretty much is Doofenshmirtz and Milo Murphy's Law. These characters who seem to be inherently bad and have made the universe worse, trying to make things better. Now, the overarching threat could either be an empire who poses a greater threat than Diamonds themselves, I'm thinking your typical Star Wars empire, or the creator of the Diamonds who are disapproving of their new lifestyle. Now, in the perfect world, Cartoon Network would be able to get all the voices for the Diamonds, no recast necessary. Of course, we would have new gem locations, and we would learn more about how Homeworld operates. I think we would see more of the Diamonds domains, like wherever Yellow Diamond and Blue Diamond's extraction chambers were and familiar. Overall, we would really get that full Homeworld experience. Every nook and cranny would be explored. Recurring characters from Steven Universe would entail almost any of the Homeworld gems, literally anyone we've seen before, and Steven himself would be fair game, though I'd prefer to leave him out of it. The Diamonds. I really do love them, but let's say Cartoon Network looked at that and said, nah, that might rely too much on Steven Universe. What's something that requires the bare minimum knowledge of Steven Universe, but could still be a spinoff. Well, this kind of leads me to my jokey one, but one that I would still love to see. Number 4, Little Butler. Out of all the shows within Steven Universe that I would want to become an actual show, you may be wondering why I chose Little Butler. Well, Camp Hiding Hearts would be so dramatic it's funny, which I feel would wear off quickly, and Crying Breakfast Friends best works as a parody of Steven Universe itself within the context of the show. Little Butler is a weird premise, and so briefly mentioned that it has a lot more to work with. It would definitely be completely episodic, as it's a sitcom from what, the 90s? We already have a theme song. We already know if it achieves 3 seasons, then the show should get better with the addition of the Richingtons moving in next door, and at some point, there would be a 2-hour Hawaii vacation special. We could even have recurring characters from Steven Universe in the form of Beat City citizens, and even the Crystal Gems playing characters on the show. Depending on how meta they want to get, the acting could even be really bad.
Agree with Amethyst. Turn to Steven. Steven, you should go.
Could you imagine Amethyst making a cameo as a pizza delivery guy? I could. I want to see that. Yeah. Little Butler, grand old time. But that has me thinking, what if we had another show set in what, the 90s? That's the period of time I'm calling it. What, the 90s? I'm not asking like, what is this, the 90s? But not really Little Butler. Something that we could probably take a bit more seriously and still has ties to the show. That takes us to number 5, No Need for Greg. That's right, a prequel about Greg Universe's time as a young adult dating Rose Quartz, dealing with the 90s Crystal Gems, pursuing a career in music, and babysitting Sour Cream, Buck, Kiki, and Jenny. Now this already sort of exists as an inside joke within the Crewniverse themselves. That's where I actually got the title from, which is a reference to the Tenchi Muyo franchise, aka No Need for Tenchi. Story arcs may be possible, but for the time period and setting, I don't think it'd work beyond being continuity and nods. It would be set around the events of flashbacks in Story for Steven, We Need to Talk, and Greg the Babysitter. Everyone in Beat City would be around those respective ages. Episodes would probably be Greg getting sucked into crazy gem adventures while attempting to preserve the task he was doing prior. If he's babysitting the cool kids, one of them gets kidnapped by a corrupted gem, and he has to work with the gems, including a reluctant Pearl, to save them. If he's trying to write a new song, something out of a gem adventure would give him inspiration. Greg is never willing to get involved with these gem shenanigans. It just kind of happens, and that's an important rule the show would have to follow. He's never, "Alright, Rose, how can I kick Major Gem butt with you?" Yeah, that's my abysmal Greg impression. What are you gonna do about it? There would be a huge focus on the relationship between Greg and Rose, alongside Greg's interactions with Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. The series could have nods and revelations to different things in Steven Universe, including how certain townies end up doing certain things. Each season could have a small jump in time until we arrive all the way to Rose giving birth to Steven, which would be the series finale. The atmosphere would primarily be similar to the first season of Steven Universe, and how those episodes usually had Steven get involved with a great power that lent well to both action and comedy. I would definitely dig this, and I adore the songs that Greg makes. Just imagine more duets with Rose. But let's get weirder. Let's get bigger. Let's go to number 6, Homeworld Hustle. From the concept I'm going to present, it'd be nearly impossible for this show to be serialized. Homeworld Hustle would be an anthology series following the lives of various Homeworld gems, including Topaz and Aquamarine, the Pearls, and Emerald. This is the most ambitious out of all the pitches just because it's simultaneously casual friendly and the concept of it being an anthology series, so every episode is something new, but that also makes it kind of hard to get invested in these characters you may never see again. As stated, it follows the day-to-day of Homeworld gems. Every episode is something new. Sometimes we see a chapter in Topaz and Aquamarine's lives. The next will be Blue Pearl, Yellow Pearl, and Pink Pearl. We would also get new gems. A big part of this series would be meeting new gems, following their lives, and seeing their purpose within Homeworld. Now, some episode can revisit gems more than once, like we get an episode with Emerald, and a season later we get another, but it wouldn't be set on just following one gem. We could even get an episode all around the Ruby Squad. I would love that. Ideally, it would take place in the post-Change Your Mind universe, but the more I think about it, seeing how gems operated before the Diamonds had a change of heart would serve the idea of seeing their role within Homeworld and the gem colonies better. So, in that regard, as it's already an anthology series, maybe the time period could always be changing. Maybe some episodes is during the Gem War, maybe some are doing certain story arcs in Steven Universe itself, and some are after Change Your Mind. Some episodes can be dialogue heavy, Some could be more mute and rely on visuals to tell a story, a la Samurai Jack. The atmosphere would still have the comedic element of Steven Universe that we all know and love, but some episodes may lend itself to be more action-oriented. If you're following a court soldier, for example, there would be more action. Some episodes may be more sci-fi without the action, yet still very captivating, like if we're following a homeworld Peridot. There really wouldn't be a standard, and that's part of the fun in this. Every episode could be a completely new experience. Recurring characters from Steven Universe can be just about any gem we've seen before. With episodes potentially set in the Gem War, we could get the Crystal Gems. There's also a case to be made for the Zoomins appearing, if we ever get any episodes set in the zoo. This would absolutely be the riskiest series, but maybe the most rewarding because of it. Let's say that's too ambitious, but following gems, I could actually get behind that. Well, that takes us to our 7th and final pitch. Number 7, Galactic Crystal Gems. Much like Lars of the Stars and Diamond Days, this would function a lot like Steven Universe itself. Serialized, as there are story arcs and the show as a whole tells an overarching story, but there'll be plenty of episodes where it's not connected to anything at all. It's just fun. The premise will be focusing on newly uncorrupted gems, Biggs, Snowflake Obsidian, and Watermelon Tourmaline, as they head into space to spread the message of the Crystal Gems. The main story arc would rise from this premise. All of these essentially new to the viewer Crystal Gems going into space for a new purpose. The antagonist of the show not necessarily being evil, but more along the lines of just not being too trusting of the Galactic Crystal Gems, and trying to put an end to what they're doing, in fear of them conquering the galaxy. After all, these are gems we're dealing with. We saw what Homeworld did to all these colonies, and that would be where the enemy is coming from. The show would be generally just fun, comedic, with sprinkles of action, and perhaps being in space would lend more to action, but I'm guessing the Galactic Crystal Gems would end up setting shop on one specific planet, where the show would then primarily take place. An average episode would be the Galactic Crystal Gems trying to introduce an Earth concept they picked up from Steven and the Crystal Gems since the events of Change Your Mind, to whatever world they're on. But somewhere along the way, things go awry. Now, I chose Biggs and Snowflake Obsidian because of their name drop by Bismuth in her debut episode. Biggs we've seen a few times by now, thanks to the Jasper arc and Maid of Honor. Watermelon Tourmaline also being due to the fact that we encountered them in the series proper. Now, for this concept, you could also throw in one or two more uncorrupted gems from Change Your Mind into the group for good measure. It doesn't have to be just these 3. The overall goal in relation to Steven Universe is telling a compelling story with these characters and giving them their own platform separate from Steven, as their inclusion in the original series now brings us a bit of a bloated cast, so it'd be nearly impossible to give everyone the spotlight. Might as well just give some of these new faces their own series so we can get a feel of their personalities, and maybe even learn about their past, their relationship to Rose Quartz and Pink Diamond, yet in a way where a new viewer who's never seen Steven Universe would be totally lost. After all, these gems were around before Steven, so they in theory could carry on their own show after Steven, or during Steven since the show isn't over, whatever floats your boat. Recurrent characters from Steven Universe could definitely be Bismuth. I can see them making a pit stop to Earth every now and then, catch up with her, maybe get some weapon upgrades. On that note, the core crystal gems we know and love could also make an appearance, but that should be on very rare occasions. I also could see them encountering homeworld gems we're familiar with. I would love to see Holly Blue Agate especially. Overall, guys, it would be a shame if Cartoon Network didn't take full advantage of Steven Universe's world and anime-sized cast of characters. The Steven Universe franchise is definitely profitable, and a good look for the network in some capacity, hence why they're producing new episodes of Steven Universe itself after the original story Rebecca Sugar wrote came to an end at Change Your Mind, with Rebecca Sugar and Ian JQ remarking that this version of Steven Universe is all said and done, and when the series comes back, it'll be something completely new. Why relegate it to just one show, when it could be 2 shows? Another one to flesh out the universe, and break away completely from Steven's perspective. But there you have it, folks. Which spin-off idea do you like best? Let us know in those comments below. Let us know your own spin-off ideas. Actually, you can tweet those to us at Roundtable Vids, and for more spin-off ideas, you can find me at Ostrich Fox. We're also on Instagram. What other show do you think we should try to speculate spin-offs for? Drop that idea below too. Help the Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Links to everything in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable so you never miss any great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Ostrich Fox, out.